The kid that stole my car was 16. What is a 16-year-old doing stealing cars?
Aurora is talking about new measures to reduce car thefts in the city.
Could the solution be as simple as extending the jail sentence for those who are caught?
The plan seeks to make Aurora the most punitive city in the state to steal cars.
And slightly good news for home buyers.
Market seems to be slowing. This is probably one of the better times to be a buyer that we've seen for the last couple of years.
After months of steep climbs, Denver home prices dip a bit lower.
What it actually means is we're having a return to normalization.
And despite running a legal business, Greenwood Village is set to vote on whether one homeowner can sell guns out of his house.
I just don't think it's safe to have a gun shop in a neighborhood.
None of my neighbors really wanted to have a logical discussion with me to address their fears.
Well, first tonight, cloudy skies covering Colorado. This is a live look at I guess, kind of grayish downtown Denver.
A scattered storms expected for the next few hours, which is where Chief Meteorologist Mike Nelson comes in.
And we could use rain, Mike, always,
yes.
Right?
The rain's handy. The hail, not so much.
Yeah.
Let's try and skip that. Let me show you what it looks like in the Denver area. We've had a variety of skies this afternoon. So over the last 3 hours in time lapse, a little rain coming through. Severe thunderstorm watch down over southeastern Colorado. That's till 10 o'clock. A couple more up in Nebraska, also until 10 o'clock tonight. Here's some of the scattered storms off to the east of us. And we do have a few warnings to the south and east down around the Lyman area. What's coming through Denver will just be thunder showers, but there has been a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for the northern Lincoln County area just to the east of Lyman. This is the view in Lyman from our Viera wireless camera, and this is the 32nd anniversary of the Lyman tornado that caused an awful lot of damage in that city. Scattered evening storms, dry during the morning tomorrow, but some strong to severe storms possible again tomorrow afternoon. Coming up in the Super 7-day, hot and dry as we head to the weekend.
All right, Mike. Colorado's no stranger to car thefts. In fact, Colorado ranks #1 in the nation for cars stolen per capita.
Now, car thefts are up 173% since 2019 here in the Denver metro. Those numbers actually get higher if you look at specific counties. And going deeper for you tonight, this is a look at the numbers for 2022 from the Colorado Metropolitan Auto Theft Task Force. So far this year, car thefts up 34% in Denver compared to 2021. Car thefts are up 33% in Jefferson County, 15% in Arapahoe County. But Aurora's numbers, they're even more shocking. And now one city council member wants to change that and give out some of the harshest penalties for car theft in Colorado.
Denver 7's Colette Bordelon learned about the plan, which is going to be discussed tonight.
That plan would be taking the penalty from probation to jail time, and it could be a longer sentence for repeat offenders. Those behind it say it's what people living in Aurora have been asking for and expected to get support from council. Any car parked on the streets of Aurora could be next.
Over 5,000 cars stolen last year in Aurora.
Stolen cars and shocking video like this one from Memorial Day, where the owner tries to stop the thief and is hit by his own truck, has local leaders pushing for harsher penalties.
The plan seeks to make Aurora the most punitive city in the state to steal cars.
A plan from Councilmember Dustin Zvonek that hopes to curb all car thefts.
Mine just happened to be one of them.
Like Amanda Ortiz's case, captured in these pictures of the damage from the end of March.
We didn't catch anybody, didn't see anybody, but yeah, they just took off with it.
She's far from alone. From 2019 to 2021, the entire state of Colorado saw an 89% increase in car thefts. But Aurora, for the same time period, shot up by 239%.
But in absence of that statewide solution, as a local leader, I'm going to do everything I can to keep my community safe.
The plan would create a 60-day mandatory minimum sentence for thieves, and that would be on a sliding scale, meaning habitual offenders could get up to 120 days.
It's crazy.
Zvonek says right now, car theft in Aurora typically gets a minimum punishment of probation.
The same people stealing cars more frequently because there's no penalty to it.
Saying stealing a car is different than other property crimes, and interim police chief Dan Oates agrees. We sat down with him last week.
And more common, auto theft is being tied to other acts of violence, whether it's robberies or whatever.
The Aurora detention facility could hold someone for 3 days. The rest of the 60-day sentence would be spent in either the Arapahoe or Adams County jails.
So our jail is just opening up now to take more of our regular municipal prisoners instead of just the most serious ones.
And for those like Ortiz,
insurance only paid for 30 days for my rental car,
who just picked up her recovered car today, months later after paying for the repairs it needed.
My first big purchase on my own.
The stress and exhaustion of a stolen car has her saying jail time is a good idea. The plan will officially be introduced next week. If after 2 readings it's passed, that would be sometime in July, and it would take 30 days to go into effect. Live in the newsroom, Colette Bordelon, Denver 7.
Yeah, those numbers are outrageous. All right, Colette, thank you. And late last night in Aurora, a man was shot while in a parking lot along I-225 in Florida. Police say it began as an argument at an apartment complex. The victim has minor injuries. Police are still looking for the person who shot him. Also, a 20-year-old driver has turned himself into police after hitting a man and fleeing the scene along South Broadway over the weekend. That hit and run happened on Saturday near Quincy in Inglewood. Officers say Edwin Solano was the driver who hit and killed the victim, 53-year-old John Lucero Jr. 2 other women were in the car. They were seriously hurt in the crash. And police say Solano took off, and yesterday he was arrested by police.
A man in Boulder County facing manslaughter charges after allegedly selling fentanyl pills to a person who later died of an overdose. 25-year-old Terrell Lucero also facing charges of possession and possession with intent to distribute. Lucero was arrested in May and has since bonded out. His preliminary hearing is set for later this month. Well, ballots are now starting to be mailed out across Colorado for our state's primary election.
The election's 3 weeks from tomorrow, June 28th, and unaffiliated voters will once again be able to participate in either the Democratic or Republican race. Unaffiliated voters account for 45% of Colorado voters, more than either party. And we asked political experts if those voters could actually make a difference in determining who the candidates are for the general election.
They do have the ability to swing a close contested primary. So if you are a candidate in a primary, you ignore unaffiliated voters at your own peril.
And if you are unaffiliated, you will be sent both ballots. You can only return one. If you decide you're returning both, they will both be rejected. The Denver metro housing market is ever so slowly cooling off.
The Denver Metro Association of Realtors says prices dropped 1% in May over April, but the average price for a home is still $714,000. Wow.
Denver 7's Ivan Rodriguez spoke with realtors who say despite high costs, this could be the beginning of a larger drop in home prices.
For what feels like the first time in a long time, the housing market is shifting, this time in the direction of the buyer.
This is probably one of the better times to be a buyer that we've seen for the last couple of years.
Brett Weinstein is the CEO of Guide Real Estate. He says housing prices are beginning to slow back down.
If I had to make a projection right now, I think that buyers are probably going to be in a little bit of a better position as the rest of this year goes on. I don't think that we're heading off some magical cliff where prices are going to decrease.
A report by the Denver Metro Association of Realtors shows the median closing price for a home fell at the end of May compared to April. Andrew Abrams with the association says the drop wasn't drastic, only about a 0.25%.
Last month, we went down 0.24%, which is almost the same as zero. But just the headline of negative is going to have a certain connotation about it. But realistically, I bet we end the year with double-digit appreciation.
Abrams says while the dip in prices is small, it could mean that rising inflation, interest rates, and a drop in demand are settling in.
We are seeing an increase in days in the MLS, and I think that's going to be common because as the amount of buyers start to shrink and the seasonality of the market and inventory increases, there's going to be people that haven't adjusted.
Both men say some of the best advice they can give buyers is patience.
Call your lender or call your real estate agent daily, figure out where rates are, figure out where inventory is. There's opportunity, and it's probably the best opportunity that we've had in the last 10 years.
Ivan Rodriguez, Denver 7.
Right now, Denver City Council is holding the final public hearing on some new rules that would require future developers to include affordable housing units in projects or pay a fee. Now, if approved tonight, this ordinance would require all new residential developments of 10 or more units to designate a minimum of 8% as affordable. That applies to both units for sale and for rent. We have a crew at the meeting tonight, and we're going to have an in-depth look at this ordinance for you on Denver 7 News at 10.
It has been a topic of controversy in Greenwood Village these past few months. Should people be allowed to sell guns from their homes?
Well, City Council will make a final decision on this soon after residents expressed some concern about one homeowner's gun shop.
Denver 7's Patrick Perez explains why one shop owner believes the concerns are blown out of proportion.
You wouldn't think by seeing this child's chalk art on the side of this Greenwood Village home that there's a gun shop in the back. Jason Pratt says Tomcat Tactical has gone practically unnoticed in the 5 years it's been here.
I provide, I think, an important service to the community.
That changed earlier this year when back in February, we profiled residents who caught on to Pratt's business and began raising concerns.
It really did surprise me that, folks have taken this and become very irrational about it.
A petition asking that the city shut down the store received more than 200 signatures.
I did not create the petition, but I certainly signed it and I certainly support it.
Former council member Gary Kleeman, a resident of nearly 29 years, says he first learned of the store in January and was flabbergasted.
Gun shops are targets for thieves. Crime is worse all the time. Gun violence is worse all the time.
According to city documents, Pratt's gun shop has never had any problems. Its record is squeaky clean.
Even recently, the City of Greenwood Village Chief of Police came out, inspected me, and felt very comfortable with how I was conducting the business.
But even then, City Council is now considering prohibiting the commercial sale of guns from homes. The ordinance, as written now, would not shut down Pratt's business as it's not retroactive. But he's still concerned about what could happen in the future.
There's nothing to say that when I go to renew my license that they would deny the renewal and retroactively, effectively cancel my business.
It's unclear how council members will vote, but Gary hopes they side with him.
I just don't think it's safe to have a gun shop in a neighborhood.
In Greenwood Village, Patrick Perez, Denver 7.
So the first reading of this ordinance will happen tonight at the Greenwood Village City Council meeting. That begins at 7. A final vote will then take place 30 days from today. And of course, we'll keep you updated.
My job is to get the team ready. For us, it's about winning. No matter who is out, who's going to own the team.
Rumors are running wild online about who might own the Broncos.
Our Denver 7 sports team is separating fact from fiction.
This really marks the next step in everybody getting back home.
Finally starting the rebuilding process more than 5 months after the Marshall fire. Louisville homeowners now get their turn.
I think days like today show that it can be even better than it was.
And we're talking with our local spelling bee runner-up about that epic final tiebreaker.
Being the first ever speller to do a spell off is a really cool thing, and I'll go down in Scripps history, so that'll be really cool. That was really cool.